Okay, well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I begin this 2014 Spring Press Conference by welcoming all of you to the All England Club. The grass is growing, the mowers are busy, the weather's lovely. Thank you all very much indeed for coming here today and for beating the tube strike. My name's Philip Brooke, I'm the club chairman. On my left is Richard Lewis, our chief executive. And before we get into the agenda, just a couple of housekeeping points, if I may. First of all,
no mobile phone.
Please turn off your mobile phones. At the end of the presentation, and before we get to questions and answers, we will be handing out the press pack as usual. And secondly, to say that once we're done with the question and answer part of the presentation, there will be lunch in the Champions Room for all of you, and hope you can join us. So in terms of today's agenda, it is once again an agenda for investment, and today we're going to be talking about investment in this year's championships. We're going to be talking about further investment in the grounds here at Wimbledon over the next 10 to 20 years through the Wimbledon Master Plan. We're going to be talking about investment in players through our 2014 prize money announcement, investment in grass court tennis through the 3-week gap, and investment in the local community and young people through the Wimbledon Foundation. So we're going to start with item 1, the 2014 championships, and I'm going to hand over to Richard.
Thank you, Philip, and good morning, everyone. Well, as you'd expect, some changes for this year's championships. We are using 17 courts this year. We're not using courts 14 and 15, and the reasons for that will become clear in a couple of minutes' time. However, ground capacity is unchanged at 38,500 and start times are unchanged. There's more unreserved seating on number 3 court. There's now an extra 198 seats, which means 35% of the seating on that court is unreserved, thereby benefiting ground pass holders. The overall arrival experience has been enhanced. Southfields and Wimbledon stations will both be themed. Even more championships banners on the walk-in routes. You may well have noticed the new railings outside much of Church Road. Hope you did as you came in. They've been very well received indeed by the local community. Lots of positive feedback about them, and it's allowed for fantastic views across the golf course, the lake, and the Capability Brown designed park. It's a 3-year programme replacing the concrete panels, and will be completed next year. And finally, as part of seeking to have a less congested Southfields station, the traffic lights and the crossroads around Southfields, we have suspended the shuttle bus service on a trial basis and will only run this year from Wimbledon station. Access from Southfields will now be very similar to the Olympics, and we believe that the Olympic experience worked very well indeed. Moving on to digital. Last year was very successful for us. We had an audience of over 20 million people on desktop and mobile, and for the first time ever, more than 50% usage on mobile. Live at Wimbledon had 1.5 million people watching on video and 5.5 million people listening on radio, and that's more than double the previous year. We also had a social media audience of over 3 million people, and it's not surprising therefore we've been receiving numerous nominations and awards for our work in this area. But we are certainly not going to stand still. So for 2014, we have a new mobile app for iPhones and Androids. And here's what it will look like. It's a cleaner, more modern experience. You'll be able to access scores more quickly. It also, in my view, reflects our brand very well. It's modern and very personalised, lots of opportunity for favourites. Favourites your players, events, countries, and it's due to launch in the app and Play stores the week before qualifying, i.e. the week of 9th of June. On the commercial front, we have new and renewed TV contracts. For 2014, we have a new relationship in France with beIN Sport. Sky Deutschland contract has been renewed in Germany, and also renewal in Italy with Sky Italia. 2015 TV contract negotiations in Asia have gone very well. With Fox Sports across much of Asia, we've extended for 6 years. Star Sports India has been extended for 5 years, and NHK in Japan we also have a 5-year extension. And this brings NHK's relationship with us to 40 years. They are our longest international broadcaster. With official suppliers, we have an enhanced agreement with Stella Artois, taking them from having pouring rights from last year to official beer this year. And finally, the Wimbledon shop online has a relaunched website, and it's going live later this week. I'll now hand you back to Philip.
Thank you very much, Richard. Item 2 on our agenda, investment in our master plan. It was at this spring press conference last year that we published our master plan, our vision for improvements to the grounds over the next 10 to 20 years. Since then, we've been busy on a number of fronts. Firstly, in consultation with local community, with planners and with user groups here at Wimbledon. Secondly, we've carried out some detailed studies during the 2013 championships, in particular to do with people and transport flows during the championships, to fully understand the operation of the site last year, and therefore help us with our planning. We've also been busy in making a start with the first projects envisaged under the master plan, and we've also made a start on the design aspects of the number 1 court project. And just to develop those last 2 points a little further, many of you will know that we've been busy this winter with building a tunnel under Somerset Road. That work is now complete. The road was reopened 2 weeks ago, and we're now ready for the time when the Somerset Road site is redeveloped and connected to the main site. The second project we've been busy with is the new space beneath courts 14 and 15. This is a 2-year project. The first steps of the project have been completed. The space has been created and the courts have been relaid. After this year's championships, we will be carrying out the fit out, which will create new space for our ball boys and ball girls, for our photographers, and for an expanded 24-hour media restaurant. By next year, the courts will be back in use for competitive play, and the new spaces beneath the courts will also be used for the first time. And at this stage in the presentation, we thought we might just share with you a short time-lapse film of this particular project. So here it is. I hope you enjoyed our short film. This will be a good moment to say that both of these projects have been disruptive to the local community, and that we are very grateful to our neighbours for their understanding and support for this important work. Moving on to number 1 court and the design work. Here's what we've been busy with over the last year. We now know some of the aspects of the changes that we'll be making to the court. So first of all, building on the success that we've had with the centre court roof, with regard to the new fixed and retractable roof, we know that the retractable roof will be made from the same materials as we used on centre court. We also know that we'll be using the same approach to controlling the climate in the court as we have done successfully with centre court over the last 5 years. The good news with regard to the number 1 court roof is that the size and shape of the roof is such that the chillers which provide the chilled air for the court when the roof is closed, those chillers, we can place them in the roof itself, which wasn't possible with the centre court roof, and thereby we will gain some operational efficiencies. We also know that we're going to add 2 additional rows to the back of the stadium. That, coupled with the replacement of all of the seating in the stadium with new wider padded seats as we have on centre court, the net effect of those 2 will mean that we will have 900 additional seats on the number 1 court once the project is completed, so taking the capacity from 11,500 to 12,400. So this is good news for tennis fans coming here to Wimbledon. As part of our master plan ambition, we also intend over time to remove all of the temporary marquee build at the southern end of the ground, which we use for hospitality during the championships. And with that in mind, we are building new hospitality space into the number 1 court stadium, and by doing so we'll be able to bring about half of the hospitality activity that takes place currently at the southern end of the ground and move it into a new permanent home in the number 1 court stadium. We're also building a new public plaza. The new public plaza will be on 2 levels. It will be broadly in the footprint of court 19, and it will be of particular interest and use to fans nearby, particularly those on Henman Hill. So that is an important development also. In terms of our timetable, we are intending to make a planning application later this year. After that, we will continue with more detailed design work on the stadium in anticipation of completion for the 2019 championships. And I thought I might just share with you an image. Now, this is all subject to planning, but this is an early image of what the completed project might look like. This is a view taken from the approach from the Southfields tube station, and as part of the project we're also looking at replacing the facades on the sides of the court. So there will be new facades which will be a combination of timber, glazing and stone. And our ambition here is to have the look and feel of the number 1 court, being respectful of its surroundings and in particular centre court, and also fit in well and depict tennis in an English garden as with the rest of the grounds. How will we pay for the ongoing investment in our master plan? Well, part of the funding for these projects will come from the issue of centre court debentures. Many of you will have seen that last Friday we published the prospectus on April the 25th. We have now invited applications for up to 2,500 debentures, the same number as we currently have. The price of each debentures is £50,000 including VAT. We will close applications on the 6th of June, and the issue will raise in round figures £100 million, all of which will be invested here in the grounds at Wimbledon. Now let's move on to item 3 on our agenda, and prize money and our investment in players. And there are 2 strands of thinking here. Firstly, we wanted to build on the focus from 2012 and 2013, and we understand and appreciate the difficulties for all players in reaching the top echelons of our sport and in staying there. It is a long road, and it's a road which is getting longer. It's also an expensive road to travel along. And against this background, once again, we've placed emphasis on the large group of players who need our help the most, those players who lose in qualifying and in the early rounds of the championships. We've also had an eye to being competitive internationally, and we do keep a watch on what's going on in other tennis events and in particular the other Grand Slams. So against that background, here are the headlines for this year. For players who lose in the singles in rounds 1, 2 and 3, there will be an increase of at least 12.5%. For players losing in qualifying, irrespective of the round, there is an increase of 12.5%. For players who reach the last 16 or do better, there is an increase of at least 10%. And for our singles champions, an increase of 10%. Gentlemen's and ladies doubles, the increase will be 8.7%. And you know how much I love graphs, and I thought I couldn't let another year go by without having another graph to share with you. So this graph shows the very significant increase in prize money here at Wimbledon for all competitors over the past 3 years. Last year we had a step change increase in our prize money, but also in 2012 and this year we've had very generous increases once again. And the net effect, if you take the red line at the top, for a first round loser over a 3-year period, our prize money will have increased by 135%. That takes the prize money from £11,500 in 2011 to £27,000 this year. For our champion at the other end of the spectrum, the bottom line, the purple line, the increase over the 3-year period has been 60%. Back in 2011, prize money was 1.1 million. And this year it'll be 1.76. So just to build on that, singles champion, a 10% increase this year, men's and ladies, £160,000 increase, and a new prize money level of 1.76 million. And our overall total prize money this year is going up by 10.8%, which is 2.4 million, bringing us up to a nice round number of 25 million. And with that, I'd like to hand back to Richard, who's going to talk about the 3-week gap.
Thank you. You will be aware, of course, that in 2012 we announced that the dates for Wimbledon from 2015 would be 1 week later, 29th of June to the 12th of July. We did this for a number of reasons. A longer period between Roland Garros not only brings a better balance to the annual calendar, but importantly will also allow players more rest and recovery time between Grand Slams, better preparation time before the championships, and crucially more time to actually compete on grass during the pre-Wimbledon grass court season. Since last year we made the announcement a couple of years ago about the date change, we've made really good progress with the 2015 calendar. We have the new men's grass court tournament in week 1 in Stuttgart. They have already built 3 grass courts, and the remaining 2 will be built after this year's clay court tournament. Queens and Halle have upgraded to 500 events on the ATP Tour, and Birmingham to a premier event on the WTA Tour. Nottingham, I know, are pleased to have 2 weeks of top-class tennis during that period, and beneath this level, shown on this slide, there will be a number of challenger events at venues and grass court clubs around the UK, Manchester, Surbiton, Ilkley and so on. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank the ATP, the WTA, Stuttgart and the LTA for the excellent cooperation we've had in working on the grass court season in 2015. We also wanted to update you about the Wimbledon Foundation. There's been a lot of progress made on this front as well. We announced the formation of the foundation during last year's championships. We appointed a foundation manager, Helen Parker, who joined us in December last year, and within the next few weeks the foundation will have charitable status. It has a number of key objectives. Firstly, to use the power of sport, and particularly tennis, obviously, to improve people's lives, especially the young and the disadvantaged. The Road to Wimbledon fits within this objective. It's been a very successful event in the UK since 2001, 14-year-olds playing through to eventually playing an event here at Wimbledon every August. And we extended this to launch a Road to Wimbledon in India. It's a similar concept, youngsters playing off to win the right to come to Wimbledon in August and join the final here. It's been very well received, it's been very popular, and we sent our A-team out to India. Some of you will recognise Dan Bloxham. There's another chap with him. We've exported strawberries and cream. They seem to be going down quite well, according to that photograph. But there was some other activity. There were tennis clinics, a number of tennis clinics, and 4 youngsters are coming to Wimbledon this August, the winners and the runners-up. Another key objective of the foundation is to enhance our work in the community. The WJTI is an equally well-established activity, a well-known schools programme in Merton and Wandsworth. Subject to planning permission, we plan to expand the programme by building a second hub for it in Rains Park. And we hope to have cover courts as well as outdoor courts as part of the scheme. It's an exciting development and we should be operational early next year. A third objective for the foundation is to encourage and support charitable and voluntary activities related to the championships and the All England Club. You may have noticed the scaffolding on the St Mary's Church spire on the way here. Pleased to say we were able to make a substantial donation towards the repairs that have been necessary for the spire, and work is due to be finished at the end of next month. Last year our ticket resale raised nearly £300,000 thanks to spectators allowing their tickets to be reused. And we are celebrating 60 years of ticket resale this year. I really do think it's one of the great traditions of Wimbledon. It's a massive success story. It allows ground pass holders to access centre court and number 1 court for £10 and £5 respectively. It keeps the show courts full and raises money for good causes. We always make donations to the organisations that support the championships by providing volunteers. Service stewards, honorary stewards, London Fire Brigade, St John's Ambulance and so on. So through the foundation we can only see our charitable activity growing and growing. With that I'll hand you back to Philip.
Thank you very much, Richard. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. We are once again investing in grass court tennis through the 3-week gap. We're investing in our championships, not just this year, but also into the future through the master plan, investing in players through our prize money announcement here today, and investing in the local community and in young people through the Wimbledon Foundation. But before we hand over to questions and answers, I just wanted to share with you the winner of this year's Wimbledon poster competition. Here it is. This year we took our competition to the United States, and with the help of ESPN we ran a competition stateside. There were 3 judges of the competition, myself, Chris Evett and John McEnroe, and I was delighted and relieved that the 3 judges were unanimous in their support for this particular poster. The winner, David Bartholow from Los Angeles, says that as a winner he will now fulfill his lifelong dream to visit the All England Club and Wimbledon.